Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the iPad, more precisely how I make notes on the iPad. I know a lot of people use GoodNotes. Personally, I've been using Notability for the entire time I've been using my iPad, but either way, it's studying digitally. In this video, I'm going to talk about how my notes are organized, how I write my notes, how I use the audio feature within Notability, one that GoodNotes currently does not have. And I'm just going to summarize just studying digitally in general. The timestamps will be in the description, so if you want to skip around a bit, please feel free. How my notes are organized. My notes are organized like binders. I feel like that's the best way to kind of view this as. Here are all my binders. I have a lot of binders because obviously it's an iPad, you can have way more than you actually would in real life. And then within each binder, you also have a divider. So here I have a divider for each of my different teachers, each half term. Half term's like every, 6 weeks. Within each one of those dividers, I then have the notes that I did during that period of time. Beneath that, I also have dividers for like revision I've done. For each time I do revision, I just give it a whole new binder. I just prefer it. I feel like it's more organized. So that's kind of like my view on it. And then within each of those new binders, I just have a separate divider for each unit. Yeah, that is how I organize my notes. I think it's so much easier once you visualize it as a binder rather than thinking of it as folders that you can't make more folders in. How do I make notes? Making notes on the iPad is something I've enjoyed so much, and I feel like a lot of it is because I can actually handwrite again. I feel like it's one of those things you don't appreciate until you don't do it for a really, really long time. Basically, I've been touch typing for like the last 3 or 4 years, and the reason that I was touch typing for so long was because my handwriting was always so messy. My favorite feature, and I think the reason why my notes actually look quite good now, is because you can get this bar, right? Now usually I do this so it's like 2 lines in like thickness. This zooms in even more. So if you think landscape already makes it larger than you would write, because obviously if you wrote on paper you would have it portrait. So writing it landscape means I get like what 1.5 inches on top. By doing it this bar means that not only do I have an actual 1.5 inches, but I'm writing it at 2/3 of a page, but I can still see the whole document is suddenly magnified. The point I'm trying to make by this is that writing bigger has made my notes neater. I can write a lot larger, and because I can write a lot larger, my handwriting just isn't as flawed. What it also means, my notes are a lot smaller than they ever were before, right? So this is frequently taking up, what, half a line, maybe 1/3 of a line, which is incredibly small. Like, that is tiny. And because it's so small, it looks really nice. I feel like small things just look a lot neater. How do I use the audio recording feature? Now, the audio recording feature is one I feel like everybody uses a bit differently. I think most people use it to record their professors because of how you can align what you're saying with the audio recording. The reason why most people probably end up typing is because you can type a lot quicker than you can handwrite, which means you can probably write down every single word the lecturer is saying. Meanwhile, if you write on paper, your handwriting speed is a lot slower, so you are then forced to make like bullet points, and you might miss out on key information, which you don't want to miss out on. So because of that, this is what I would think to be the best merge. I mean, there's so many studies which have showed that if you are making notes on paper rather than making notes on a computer, you're going to retain more, but obviously the additional advantage on a computer is that you have more resources then to study with. This merges them. You have the resources to study with later because you have the audio recording and you can listen to it. You can even listen to it at 2 times the speed if you really wanted to. But you also have a benefit of just making the key points. But I personally don't do that. I like to use it as a dictaphone, which means that I like to talk to myself yeah. Basically what I do, okay, is let's say I'm talking about a topic and there's some more points I want to add to it, but I don't really want to write them out. Or there's points that I know, but I don't really feel the need to write them down. Or maybe I'm using it as a revision technique and I'm like, you know what? I think if I actually just spoke every single thing I knew about this topic, then I would do a lot better. Obviously you can do voice memo on your phone, but if you can really incorporate that into your notes, then you can look back on it in the future. So that's one way I do it. In that way I basically just walk around the room. But the second method involves sitting here, and it's very, very similar, Just that in the second method, I add diagrams. So if I'm talking about pore shift and how carbon dioxide affects the blood and how it's transported around the body, then I will draw a diagram, just because it's so complicated and it's very hard to visualize because of the individual molecules. Meanwhile, if I'm talking about how a fish breathes, a fish is a lot easier to visualize just because you see it on a day-to-day basis. I tend to do diagrams and that kind of aid when I struggle to visualize something when I'm talking about it. Obviously, it's a lot better for like long-term memory if you can talk about it without a visual aid, but it's still better to talk about it with a visual aid than not talk about it at all. What I like about that then is that even then in 6 months time, if I'm then doing it at the end of the year and I want to cover it again, I can go back and I can listen to the exact words that I said, and I can listen to it in a way that I know I'm going to understand it, because that's how I understood it in the past. The summary. I love writing notes on my iPad. I don't think it particularly matters whether you're doing it on Notability or whether you're doing it on GoodNotes. In the end, I think the important parts you still get. It's still gonna be 10 or 15 times better writing on an iPad than it is on a piece of paper. And whether it's 16 times better or 15 times better, it's just going to depend on how effectively you use each app and whether you truly use the features it provides. So like, I use Notability literally just because it had the audio recording feature, but I just knew I was going to use it a lot. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.